It's the Boomey-Factor Review Show. And hello, everybody, and welcome to the first inaugural, as we're gonna, should we say inaugural?
I don't even think you're pronouncing that word right, but sure.
The first episode of the Boomey-Factor Review Show, and we are reviewing the open world, lovely game, Monster Hunter World from Capcom. And this game, to me, dude, was just, except for the menu system, was all around beautiful. From monster slaying to the things you can do in the world are just absolutely insane.
I agree, yeah, especially as far as like how beautiful it looks. I mean, it definitely shows off the power of the PS4, which I've got my Pro, and it talks
just rub that in a little bit, why don't you?
Yeah, some of us aren't as lucky, but naming no names. But even in the beginning, and when you boot up the game, it asks you how you want to optimize it. If you want to optimize it for graphics, resolution, or for frame rate, and just the whole thing is very smooth as far as like how everything looks, the characters. Definitely have no complaints as far as that goes.
And it's very strategic in how you actually got to play. Like, I mean, as you just saw, we had to sharpen our weapon to even attack this thing because it was running dull. And this is just one of the early monsters in the game, and it's already pretty big in scale. And then once you kill any monsters, you can harvest them for parts and items. And like we were talking about, there's much more to do than just slaying monsters. There's side quests in the game as well, which you can kind of see going on here. And one of the side quests was I decided to go up and get a dragon egg or a wyvern egg.
Yeah, you decided to take somebody's unborn child and run off with it. Yeah, that's a crime.
And take
in
the
all 50 states.
long walk back, take a nap, and then continue walking some more.
Sexy walk though.
and then though, got the twerk going a little bit.
Got that wobble.
And then here are your commanders, and how the story really progresses. You got to keep on going back to this training table. You talk to your field team leaders, and the overall story. I mean, you kind of get the idea from the very beginning. There's like one elder dragon that they're trying to capture, and that's like kind of like the main focal point of the entire thing. And then he takes you to your house. Like, you actually have your own hut. Have you've been to your hut, right?
I've always wanted my own hut. I just feel like it's better than having an actual house.
Well, not really a house, and you get more of a hut, and you don't even have the room to yourself. You got to share the room with 2 or 3 other people. But aside from that, your house or your hut is mainly where you can go to store your items that you find in the world. Because in a lot of things, they have a limit of how many you can carry. So a lot of them you have to bring back to your item house. They don't just go directly from your inventory to your item box. You got to physically bring them. So that's kind of like the one thing that's kind of like, I kind of wish that whatever they didn't max it out. They kind of just let it go straight to your item box. But it didn't work that way. So you actually got to physically bring it back. But you can create stuff here. You can create ammo. You can create potions, virtually anything you need to use in the actual world itself. Antidotes and potions are going to be your main thing you're going to end up using a lot of. And then the stuff you get from monsters, you're going to use that to upgrade yourself later on.
Yeah, and I really like the tree system that they have going for the equipment, like upgrading the equipment. You got the bone, or you've got the different trees that you unlock once you get further into the game.
Exactly, and the trees are pretty in depth too.
Yeah, and you've got a pretty sweet little bone helm there going, looking like something off of He-Man.
I made that from bones that you find in bone piles out in the actual world, but you need a certain amount of materials before you're able to craft or upgrade stuff to a certain way. And we'll show you the upgrade tree here in just a little bit so you can kind of get an idea of what we're talking about. But this is like you can change your equipment out, and the game gives you a lot of weapons to start with that you can kind of choose from. So one thing we recommend is kind of play with all of them, so that way you kind of get a feel of what weapon you would use the best and what becomes more useful to you.
Yeah, and I agree. I started out with the hammer, just running around swinging randomly at shit, just trying to crack people's heads open. And then I decided to switch it up to a bow and arrow, which, obviously that's a huge change in tactics, but it worked out well when we were playing together because you had the dual blades, and then I was kind of sitting outside, kind of picking them apart with the bow and arrow. So it definitely depends on your party too. A good mix.
Yeah, a good mix.
Be good for taking down some of the higher tier monsters.
Yeah, and then these are pets that you can find in the world that you can kind of put in your house. You can catch them with a net and then place them as pets later on from the person that's inside your home.
Yeah, who hadn't always wanted a peacock walking around inside their house?
Dude, okay, right? And then this is your palico. This is your pet cat that goes with you on missions. And your palico is essentially he helps gather stuff for you. He helps fight for you.
He gets killed for you a lot.
He does get killed for you a lot. And then we shoot up to the armory, and this is where all the upgrading for your weapons and your armor happen. So this is what we were talking about with the tree earlier. There's a lot you can do with your tree, from the different materials that you find. One thing I will say though, and this is actually brought to my attention when I was actually creating the sword that you see on my back there. Once you choose one tree, you can't back out of it. So once you put an elemental on it, you can't back out of it. So you got to kind of stick with it at that point. And then you got your questing, which is like one of the big parts of it.
And one of the most aggravating if you're trying to play with friends.
Exactly. But hopefully they fix it later on as the game becomes more and more popular. Besides the menu system and joining groups and everything, it's fun. I mean, how many poop emojis were you thinking about giving this?
I will give it 4 golden poop emojis.
4 golden poop emojis out of 5, which is actually a fantastic review from us, because 5 is the highest we go. So with 4, so until next time, this is KOD Factor and
Boomey.
And we will catch you guys on our next video. Thank you guys for watching.